Hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining us once again for part two of our series, Our Veterans and Their Stories. My name is Shirley, and I'm here again with Harold Mann. And we're very happy to have you here, Harold. Thank you
Oh,
for joining us
well,
once
thank you
again.
for asking me and coming up and tell my story of when I was in the Marine Corps.
Well, why don't you take your hat off and you can feel a little more
Uh,
comfortable?
we don't call this a hat. Marine Corps, it's always a cover.
The cover.
A cover.
So, what year were you in the service?
I was in 1953 to 1956. So I was 19, but the government at that time had the draft. So I was scheduled to be drafted. So I went downtown Newark where I lived, and I had the physical and everything, and I passed. And they said, now don't go away anywhere because we're going to call you within the month. Report for duty. I said, all right. So I was home, and the phone rang, and they asked for me. So here it was the Marine Corps calling me. And he said, the Marine says, have you ever thought about joining the Marine Corps? I said, no, I never thought about it. He says, well, be all right if I come up to the house and talk to you and see what we have to offer you. I said, so he, he came to the house, and my parents were there, and and he says, now you join the Marine Corps, you'll make PFC right off the bat, right out of boot camp, and you can enlist for 3, 4, or 6 years. So I thought, well, I'll take the lesser of the three. So I said, oh, and he showed me a booklet and it just shining their shoes. I said, oh, this is nothing. So I said, all right. So I joined. Well, on July 15th came around, 1953. We all had to report downtown Newark, put us on buses, took us to Newark Airport. Now there was 200 of us that had enlisted in the Marine Corps. So they put us on planes and away we went to Parris Island, South Carolina, where the Marine boot camp is. So I don't know where that airplane landed. I have no clue. So they got us on buses and we took us to camp and we're sitting on the bus and also all of a sudden the DI comes on the bus. He says, get off my bus, just like that. And we all get off and they had footprints in the street. And he says, now each of you take a set of footprints and stand there. And that's what we did. And he swore at us and, they were mad at us. And they knew we were coming because being from New Jersey, we were known as the mafia because of what? Because of the reputation we had. See? Well, then they split us up into platoons, which is about 70 men to a platoon. And you start your training, you're drilling, and they yell at you, tell you to get outside. You go through the doors, and you get out there and say you're too slow. Get back in and do it over. And you couldn't move your eyes. You had to look straight ahead. And they teach you how to march and drill. Then you start doing calisthenics, push-ups, which we never did before. And so then that training lasted 13 weeks. So now we graduated after 13 weeks, and they give you your information, and they tell you where you're going to go. And this is a picture of graduation in July of 1953. We all looked alike, all in uniform, all looking straight ahead. So it's hard to find me in that crowd. I don't remember exactly where I was.
I was going to ask you that question.
Yeah, we don't know. We can't tell. So You have to use probably a big magnifying glass to find us. So that was our graduation they gave us. And also, they gave us a book like you get in high school when you graduate. And that has pictures in there of our platoon. And they have my picture in there when I was there. Now, another thing they teach you is to go for gas. And you put on a gas mask and you go in the hut and you get in a circle and you're marching around and the DI opens the door. He says, I want to hear you all sing the Marine Corps hymn marching around. And don't touch your face because that'll burn, from the gas. So we're marching around in there. He opens the door again and we're singing. He says, I can't hear you people. And he slams the door and leaves us in there.
No.
Finally, they let us out, and then the gas goes away, And you go through obstacle courses and everything like that. So it's a rough training. Everybody's new. If you didn't make up your bunk right, they flip a quarter on it. If it didn't land right, they break it up, and you have to do it all over again.
Oh, wow.
But the discipline is very strict there. So anyway, to this day, we have a grandson that graduated from there, and the DIs are still as strict as they were with me.
Wow.
So I will say...
And this is a picture of you
Yeah.
here. Okay.
This is a picture of me. This is taken of me, and then from boot camp. So that there.
Now you had some stripes here. Tell
Yeah,
us about
that
the
was
stripes.
corporal. That's after I've been in the Marine Corps a while. I'll get to that. Where I got promoted to corporal. So then what they usually did when you got promoted, fellows at the barracks stand you a line on each side, and as you walk by, they punch you in each shoulder and put the stripes on you, the tradition.
Okay.
So that's how they did that. So anyway, I got my orders from boot camp. I was sent to school in North Carolina, supply school. Then from supply school, I went to Camp Geiger in North Carolina. Now, Camp Geiger at that time was a supply depot. Today, it's all changed. It's infantry training. Once you graduate from Paris Island, you go there for a month. They didn't have that then. So I was there, and at that time, Jacksonville, North Carolina, was a small town, not much there. And so I was there quite a while, almost a year, I'd say. And so you were allowed leave. So I went home on leave in Newark, where I lived. And I came back after a week, and I walked in the barracks, and they all said, the captain wants to see you right away. And I says, I wonder what I did now. I'm in trouble.
Uh-oh.
So I go up to the office, and the captain's there. He says, congratulations. And he's smiling at me. And I said, what did I do? I said, sir, what did I do? He says, congratulations, you're going overseas.
Oh.
Just me? You're the only one going. You're your MOS. So
Why didn't we the only person that he sent over?
I was the only one available to go with my certain number I had.
Oh,
I was the only one to go. So I went up to the clerk at the desk, and he says, how many days you got left on the books? I said, I just used them up. He says, let me see when you're due out in California. Oh, he says, 15 days. I'll put you down, you're driving out there to California just to get extra days. So I got out to California, and they got us all together. And it was basically just staying in the barracks and waiting for our orders. All right, they said, tomorrow morning, everybody up at 5 o'clock, and taking you to the ship. All right. So we get up, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and we're still there. 11 o'clock, they said, everybody pick up your linen for your bunk, go back in the barracks, you're not leaving tonight. The transport you're going on has a busted boiler or something, you gotta fix it. So we went back in, and then we came out the next morning, and they put us on what they call cattle trucks. It's like a big truck, and you just go and stand in there. They took us to the train station.
In the cattle trucks?
Yeah, in that. Well, that's why they call it a cattle truck. It's a big transport. They just throw you in there. So we get on the train, we go to San Diego. Now we get off the train to San Diego, and we had our field pack, our rifles. We had to march down the street to the ship, and we get on. And I said, all right, we got some CBs on board, and we're heading for Alaska. This is in April, or March rather. Cold, you know. Well, I don't know if you've ever been on a ship and got seasick. We all were seasick. The ship was going up and down, side to side for 3 days. Well, we get to Kodiak, Alaska, and we said, I wonder, well, we knew we were going overseas. They don't tell you much. So we got sailing, and the ship stopped in the ocean. And the reason it stopped out there was a member had emergency appendicitis, and they didn't want the ship to rock too much for the operation. So we get going. They got our group together. We left the CBs in Alaska, got our group together, and said, we're sending you to Korea. Now, the truce had been signed in Korea, see? The fighting had stopped. So we go along, and we got 3/4 of the way over there. They got our group together. They said, we're not sending you over to Korea. And where are we going? You're going to Japan. So we got to Japan, and they don't tell you where you're going, what base it is, or nothing.
No information?
No information. You get on the bus, and they took us. Well, fortunately, I was taken to the 1st Marine Air Wing in that Sugi, Japan, outside of Yokohama, where the Marines had their air base. So that's where I was. So now, they told us from the day we got to California to the day we come back, our tour would be 12 months, the tour. So we says, fine. 2 months had gone by by the time we got over there and settled. So the fellas says, they marked the calendar. Gee, we only got 10 months to do and we'll go back home. You know, well, we're there a week. And after chow in the evening, and we're sitting in the barracks, and the other Marine comes running in, and he's cursing out the Marine Corps. We said, what's wrong with you? Why are you upset? He says, go look at the bulletin board. So we went, we looked at the bulletin board. As of this date, all Marine personnel are extended another 5 months.
Oh.
So now it's 17 months. But it shows you, once you're in the service, they can change your orders, move you around where they want you, how they want you, and that. So anyway, I stayed there at the base, and I did fortunately go to Yokohama, visited Tokyo, and 2 of my buddies, we went to home in Tokyo, which took care of children and that. So we
Is
helped.
this something that you did on your own?
On our
leave?
own, yeah.
Was it on leave?
We found out about it. And so what we did, we went to the home for children and that, and they had gifts to give out to them, so we helped give out fruit and gifts to the children. That was on our own,
nice.
see. But then...
did you see any combat?
No, combat had been settled. The truce had been signed. But even though that truce was signed in Korea, we were on a 24-hour call at all times, because we didn't trust North Korea from here to there. So, but we were on call, ready to move
Mhm.
out and everything. So then we were there. So then uh, came time. I spent the 17 months there. It was time to go home, and we had the fighter planes there, and so they took us to the ship, and we got on the ship, and it was a troop ship, but there was all officers and their families on board. So we were on the lower deck, and they were on the higher deck, but we weren't allowed up there. See, so
Mhm.
that. So coming back was a short trip, say 11 days. We came right into San Francisco, and they took us over to Treasure Island where they processed everybody right away. And I was sent to Route 34. Now
Earl?
then,
You went to Earl Ammunition?
yeah, Earl Ammunition Depot, and that's where I was discharged from.
Well, let's take a look
So-
at a couple of the pictures
Yeah.
here that we have.
Yeah,
Because I think this
So-
one's of you and your dad, right?
yeah. This is my father and I. We were down at the shore. I was home on leave, and that's a picture of him and I. The two of us
This is
together.
nice. It says 1953.
53 when I came home
1953.
on leave. You know.
So that was when you were home.
See, when you get through with boot camp, they give you a 10-day leave. Then you report to your next duty station. See,
Okay.
so that's there. So then, this is another picture of me. This is our dark green uniform we wore. We had this here.
Now tell us a little bit about your emblems here.
Oh,
What
just
tell-
one's for the rifle range and one's a good conduct medal they give everybody. It was issued to everybody. That
great.
there. That's before I got promoted. See? So,
It's a wonderful picture.
yeah.
Very,
Oh,
very
yeah.
nice.
I'll show you.
And this one, okay, this one we had looked at.
Yeah,
show
this
this one.
one. This is a larger picture of me and how I looked in. This was the uniform we wore. The only thing with that uniform, it was material that scratched you when you had it on, you know, the fine
Oh.
material, but that's what we had
Do
to
you
wear.
still have your uniform?
No, they're all gone. I don't think I could fit into them now. But each duty station you went to, they would tell you what your uniform would be for the day or the week, and that's what you wore. We were to go to work. We went march to work every day. You'd be in green utilities, you know. That's what we used then.
And what was your job?
Taking care of all electronic supplies for the FJ2 airplanes we had, for the fighter planes. Any equipment they needed on the plane, we had to have that ready for them if they had to replace the parts and that, you know.
And you had special training for that, right?
Yeah, I had training for that. I didn't know which, you know, you'd have tubes or radio tubes, right? You had to know which one went where. It was all, everything we had was in crates, all marked, all inventory. So if we had to move out, you put the lids on and away you went. Everything was in order. You were ready. In other words, if you didn't have the parts and the planes went off and you needed a part, how are they going to fly? See, that there. And then I have this, I'll show you this.
Sure.
Can
I
you
take
reach
this?
that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this was a puzzle. It looks
Yeah.
like a puzzle you had
It
made.
is. This is a picture that was made up of me, and this is a puzzle all put together with me. So that's a little different of me in a puzzle.
So somebody gave that to you as a gift one year?
Yeah. I forget, I think it was my wife's daughter got the puzzle for me.
That's
And,
really nice.
But
This is
yeah, you don't
special.
see
No.
you don't see something
No.
like this. All you see is a picture, but this is a puzzle of it.
This is beautiful. Well,
Right.
let's take a look at your medals. The medals that you have over there.
Yeah.
Let's see. What we have here. Got that?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Now, absolutely. If you could just
let me
show
turn this
everybody.
around. I'll show
And-
everybody. This is, I have made up. This is all my medals. And
Can
that.
you tell us a little bit about each
Yeah.
one of them?
Let me see here.
This is good conduct.
This one's the good conduct. Navy.
The occupation.
Navy occupation. That was because I served in Japan. And this is
National Defense.
National Defense ribbon. And this,
Presidential unit.
and this is the presidential unit because of being in Japan. They were given to the men that served there. So
Amazing.
this one, I had at home a ribbon, and I called the company that does this, the magazine, over the phone, and I said I can't find this one. He found it.
He found it for you.
Yeah, I couldn't find it in any books or that, but he knew what it was. So they made it. This is my corporal stripes. I was a corporal.
And this right in here.
For the rifle and that. And they make this up. I did this all over the telephone. So
Beautiful
if there's
job.
any servicemen out there that have their medals or anything, it'd be nice if you got them all out instead of in a drawer, made up, and then you have a record of it, and you put it up in the house, and you can show people this.
They did a beautiful job.
They
beautiful
did.
Job.
Taking it by chance,
So now, when you came out of the service, okay, what was it like your first day? Do you remember it when you came
Well,
home?
I had to get used to everything again. I'll tell you, in the service, even in training, you don't get all the beer, you don't get all the soda, and you got to eat what they give you. And if you don't eat it, you're going to starve.
How was the food?
Food was pretty good, Well, that's the only food there. You're going to starve or eat it, whether it was good or not. They put you on mess duty, and we had to peel the potatoes, and hide them and that all. Geez, up all night. And the thing was, so then when I went to my new duty station, they had to serve a mess duty. In the new Corps, they don't have mess duty anymore. It's private companies. So we were on mess duty, the other fellows and I, and the cook come in and he says, "All right, men," he says, "you got to make up a Waldorf salad for luncheon or dinner." And we looked at him and he says, "You got to make up 1,500 portion for 1,500 people." Portion for that. And we looked at him and we said, "What do we do?" He gave us a big book, opened it to Waldorf salad, told you everything, how much to put in there. And we made it, But gee, I'm telling you, one experience when I was overseas, we had a captain, couldn't get along with the men. And I said, "Gee, it's so easy being charged, but if you run the men right, everything runs smooth for you. You have no problem." Well, I came back from lunch one day and I had to go by his desk. And I said to myself, he annoys me. So I took his paper clips. I strung them all in a big chain and put them back in his container. He's still looking for the fellow that did it. But, it was...
he didn't know it was you.
He didn't know it was me. But that's different things go on, and that. But we went to work every day, just like you're going to work at home and that. So, of course, one thing in those days, you got 360 yen to the American dollar. So that was a gravy train. You go into a shop in Yokohama, you want a jacket, and you say, "How much you want it?" He'd say 1,200 yen. And you look at the guy and say, "I'll give you 500 yen, because that's only like $1.50. He says, you come up, I come down, and we agree at a price. Of course, department stores there had the standard price, but that's what you do. And over in Japan, they had a bus room from the base to the train station. They had the operator ran the bus, and a guy collected the fare, a few cents. Then you went on the train, and they had a good train system over there. Now, even though Japan had been bombed during World War II, they had rebuilt everything. And they were using, in the 50s, they were using more modern trains than we had here. Of course, I guess our money helped that. But the people didn't run away. They rebuilt their country. See? So that was quite interesting. At least that was a good experience. I wouldn't have gotten over there on a trip or something like that. And so that's what we did.
So now, let me ask you then.
Now we can't. When I got home, I worked for a while. Then I worked for a while. Then my wife passed away. And then I was working. I got a job at the Irvington Town Hall in Irvington, New Jersey, in the tax assessor's office. So then my wife passed away. I had moved to Old Bridge, and I minded my own business. And my neighbor said to me, just told him one day, she says, I have somebody for you. In the meantime, back up a minute, where I lived in Irvington, I went into the bank, and this fellow was there, and I found out he was a Marine, and the manager was a Marine. And the fellow says to me, you want to join the Marine Corps League? I said, what are you talking about? What league? So that's when I joined the Marine Corps League. And that's where I'm still with today. We're in Woodbridge, New Jersey. We meet once a month, and we have men from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and that. And so I'm the chaplain there. You know,
Are you? That's wonderful.
So that's good. That keeps me busy.
And tell us about this uniform that you have.
Well, this is the dress blues that we use for their major program, and this Saturday coming up, the 10th, is the birthday of the Marine Corps, which was founded in 1775. And if you have dress blues, you can wear dress blues to the fair, which I do. And then we give once a year, we give this medal out for the Marine of the Year.
It's beautiful.
So I was chosen a few years ago as Marine of the Year, and we're allowed to wear this on any occasion. So we do it every year for a different member. There's a committee that votes on it and that. So we do toys for tots and that, and the toys we give out to the children, appreciated. And anyone asks for a donation of money or something, we check first, investigate before we give anybody any money or any gifts or anything. So it works out fine. So that keeps me busy.
It's wonderful.
That keeps me busy.
Now there's something else here. We have a couple pictures
all right.
here.
This I got to go back a couple of years ago. These 3 years, I had to have. I know most of us, we get older, we have to run to the doctor. Well, I try not to run to the doctor, stay away, but I was having trouble walking. And I went to see the doctor, and he said, you need a new hip, a left side. So I went into the hospital, and he came in. I was in the operating room, and I had the story. I said to him, you're going to operate on my left hip? He said, yes, and they mark it, You're sure of that left hip? Well, I said, doctor, do you know if you operated on my left hip, you're going to make my right hip left? And he stood there looking at me, He finally figured what I was telling him. He finally realized what I was doing. So anyway, the doctor, with my operation, he had a pamphlet made up with my picture
Show everybody.
in a booklet form. And then this is the story about me and the operation. And through the hospital, he had it made up. Well, it was passed out to all the houses and that. And then some people saw this picture. They said, I know that person. So they got a copy of it, and I had to autograph it
Oh,
for them.
that's great.
Now-
That's great.
All right, so that's the first year this happened. The following year, we get a local paper, and they had a calendar in it. And I said to my wife, I said, what are we going to do with another calendar? So it had some doctors' pictures and nurses, and I'm flipping through it. I got to July, and here's my picture. This same picture was in the calendar. So my picture went all over the place.
That's great.
So the doctor did it for his publicity. I can see him for he did a good job.
Did a beautiful
Very
job.
good.
Really,
And
really nice.
of course, I had to have therapy and that, so everything worked out fine for me. So that was another experience.
And I'd
and
like
then-
to find out a little bit
yeah.
more about this.
Yeah. Now you saw the pin I had before. It's shaped like a star, a Jewish star, and this is given the chaplain of 4 chaplains in Philadelphia. And this was the ship that was, during World War II, was torpedoed by a German U-boat, and it sank. And the 4 chaplains that were on board gave up their life jackets so 4 men could live, and they died with the ship. So this is known, and my name was given to them, and I was presented with an award.
For honorary membership. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And the pin was I think you said it was a
Like
a Jewish star.
like a Jewish
And it had
star.
a cross in the middle
Yeah,
of it.
that's
right.
right,
I saw
yeah.
that. That's beautiful. Really
Yeah,
beautiful.
so that's another thing. Of course, I've gotten awards for the service and everything like that. So, like I say, that's the story of my life.
Oh, there's one other picture here that
Yeah,
we think we want to take a
right.
look at.
And this is
It's you and your beautiful wife.
at the ball, and this is my wife. This is when we got married, just to the 4th. This was Valentine's Day. But we got married a couple of days beforehand. Had the picture in this here, Valentine's Day.
Let's
So,
show everybody the picture.
Show everybody that. Now another thing
And
happened.
this was at the Marine Ball? This picture was taken?
Yeah, that's the Marine Ball. That's how I look. We
Very
looked.
nice.
So now it was, we got married. How we met was a strange thing. My neighbor said to me one day, I have somebody for you. And I says, oh, get out of here. I'm not getting involved. I'm not going to get involved. Oh, yes, you are. I'll arrange it. I'll have her brought to my house, and then you can come over and meet her. And that. Well, I only lived across the street from where the neighbor lived, see. So it was she says, oh, it's the holidays. After Christmas and New Year's, I'll arrange it. So they brought her over. I didn't know her name. She didn't know my name. We never met. So I met her, and they had some refreshments, and the one that brought her had somebody with her. Said, oh, I got to take so-and-so home. So I knew they were angling for me to take her home. So I said, all right, I'll take her home, see. Well, she had just moved in with her daughter and didn't know where she lived. Didn't know the exact address. I found it. Jesus, it was. See. So anyway, we exchanged phone numbers, and that was it. So I come home from work, and my son said to me, hey, Dad, you know anybody by the name of Pat or Patricia? I said, yeah, I met her the other night. I met her. Why? Oh, she called up and it was my birthday on January
Oh.
6th. So she wished me a happy birthday. So anyway, we got acquainted, and so we're going in the car, and she says, "Yeah, I went to the church at Reverend Tweedy. I almost drove off the road." I knew Reverend Tweedy, right? So anyway, we drove down to my son's and meet the family, and she's looking at pictures, and she says, looks at the pictures, "I know them people." I said, "Yeah, that's my mother and father."
Oh,
She knew my mother and father.
Wow.
I said, "Oh, she knew." She went to the church where my mother and father were going. So then, and I said, "Well, where do you work?" She says, "At the Veterans Home in Menlo Park." I says, "I'd been over there with the Marine Corps League. Met the veterans and everything, but I never met her." So there was always this connections. We got married, you know.
That's amazing. So it was meant to be.
Yeah. When we got to the airport on Valentine's Day, the wedding, you know. So one at the counter says, "You want to enter our contest?" I says, "Well, what do you have to do?" She says, "You got to write a poem about Valentine's Day." I wrote one. My wife wrote one. And we won first prize.
You did? What did you win?
We went the first class to England. So
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we went first class on the plane. They served you everything. Oh boy, we had.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So being to going to England, my father and grandfather were there. We did get to go to this like a library, and I looked up history of them, you know, and who my grandfather, great grandfather, and that, and the kids, and they didn't call them students, call them scholars, you know, school. And my grandfather had been a coal miner in England. Now, my grandfather, an interesting thing about New Jersey, he learned electrical work. He went with Western Electric. Now, he installed some of the first equipment in the state of New Jersey, telephone equipment for Bell Labs. And he worked ashore, he worked Newark, and that in the big buildings. So he put in some of the first communications in the state of New Jersey. Nobody had phones. Few people had phones. And you should see it today be a big change. But that's what he did. My father worked in Newark with Oxwell, which was part of Union Carbide, and he was the head inspector there. And he wouldn't let a piece of work go through if it wasn't right. He checked the whole job. He didn't have arguments with people.
Wow.
But the way they worked in those days, the worker made so many in a day. Well, if he got done at 2 o'clock till he went home, he could make more, get a bonus. Well, they get careless, they get in a hurry, they go, "Oh, look," he'd take it, he says, "This piece isn't going to work. The next piece isn't going to, you ship that out, not going to fit." He'd reject it. And he was right. He was very right, my father. So,
Well, I tell you, you have quite a history.
That's a lot of history. Of course, we have my son. I had a son in the National Guard. I had a son in the Marine Corps, and then we have a grandson in the Marine Corps in the Air Wing. So it seems every generation gets caught up in some service.
Which is wonderful. It's wonderful that you have that opportunity and you serve.
Veterans were try to tell the veterans, look up some of your history you have in the house, and tell the children so they know, they understand. Now, being with the Marine Corps League, I was invited this past week they do it every year, inviting veterans to go to the different schools and talk to the children. So I went to the one school in Woodbridge, and they had a program outside, all the students, and they had the choir, the children's choir sing American patriotic songs. And then the teacher said, do you want to say anything to them, the whole group? And I said, well, was in the Marine Corps. I'm a veteran. I said, I wish you children, if you know anybody in the family, relatives or somebody, where you see them, go up to them and wish the veteran for their service. Giving them thank you for your service. And they'll appreciate that, you know.
I believe so too.
And I hope maybe some of the children that sank in their minds, others maybe forget it, but I got a thought going for them.
Which is
So
wonderful.
that's what I do there. Then I went to the high school, and they had a luncheon for the veterans. So I've been in parades up in Raritan and that, you know. John Basilone, one of the heroes of World War II, was killed on Iwo Jima, and so I keep in touch with everything, and that's it. So.
Well, Harold, I really appreciate you
Yeah.
coming in and
Oh.
telling us your amazing
So
story.
that's a story.
About you and your
Yeah, you
family.
think of things, you know, sometimes you think of something you did or it was odd, and that.
But we really
I-
appreciate you, and we really
one,
want to
one
thank you.
quickie in boot camp, they don't let you have anything, you know, candy and that. And I always think of this in the service. My aunt sent me a package. So I had to go to the DI. He says, open this. It was 5 pounds of salt water taffy. And I looked at him. He looked at me. Did you say no for this? No, sir. You were, they call candy pogey bait, Marie? No, sir. And he kept looking at it, looking. He says, all right, you take 5 pieces for yourself. You pass the rest out. And that's anything. Packages come, you share with the whole platoon. You don't keep it for yourself. And they teach you that, see?
That's really nice.
But you think of these things, as you know, as you're out of the. In fact, at the graduation of the grandson, we were at dinner, and this woman come up to me in uniform. She says, I'm the sergeant major. I was in this red uniform. And she says, I looked across the room and said, the brigadier general's here from the base. She says, you want to meet him? I'll meet him. They escort you up there. You don't run up. I was the only one. And I said, I'll be in dress blues. That's what I got on now. And I said, at the graduation. He says, I'll look for you. And I said, by the way, I heard a rumor the Commandant of the Marine Corps is going to be here. He said, he'll be here, which is unusual. Have the Commandant come for graduation. So he spotted me the next morning at the graduation. And he said, now look, after the graduation, you and your wife are going to take you and meet the Commandant of the Marine Corps and his wife.
Wow.
Went up there. First thing he said to me was, after I introduced my wife and I, where's your grandson? So my wife went and got him. He was in the crowd. And he wondered, what did he do to get you up to the Commandant? Oh, my. So the Commandant we had a picture taken, my grandson in the middle, me on one side, and then the other. And he said, us older Marines will be on the outside. Very polite, him and his wife were. Well, now, in Washington, he's chief of staff. So meeting him, you never know who you're going to meet.
That's wonderful.
So it was.
That's
I was the only
wonderful.
one. We were my wife and I were the only one. Nobody else. So you see, you never know who I'm going to run into. You know,
Amazing.
it is. It's
Amazing.
amazing stories.
Well, you have an incredible
Long
story
story.
here of your life and what you've shown us, and we really appreciate you and your service to this country and your family's service to this country and what your wife had shared, what she's done also. I mean, as far as being a nurse and her service, thank you very much.
Thank you. I
so much.
enjoyed it. My wife
Thank
and
you
I
for
enjoyed
serving.
coming.
And
And-
we want to wish everyone that to say thank you To Harold and to Patricia, once again, this is our part 2, and we want to tell any veteran that might be interested in joining us and coming on our show to please contact us, and we'd be very happy to meet with you and to talk with you. And once again, thank you all, and God bless America.
Hey. One moment.